My next guest joining me tonight on Punky's MixTape is coming actually not too far away from me, coming out of Portland, Maine. Like everybody to welcome to the show. This is Chad Gray, also goes by the name of Loc Dab. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Glad to be here, man. I appreciate you for having me on the show.
Oh, straight up,
Yes,
man.
sir.
This is awesome. Love meeting new people. So for my guests that haven't heard of you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying, the artist name is Chad Gray. I'm also known as Loc Dab. I've been doing music here in Maine since 2008-ish. I'm originally from Bridgeport, Connecticut, currently residing in Maine. And yeah, I'm a rap, hip hop, alternative. I'm just an artist. I can't even say I'm even a rapper. I'm just an artist. I love to create. Yeah, man, you know, like I said, I started 2008 and I've been on my grind ever since, and we're leveling up now.
What's like the last 12 years been like for you, trying to get your music out there?
Woo, you know what? I'll be honest, man. You know, one thing I learned, because you gotta understand something, you know, apart from doing music, you got life too. So you have to almost balance growing as a person and your music and growing as well. And if one's off balance, you know, it can throw you in a whirlwind of anxiety, depression, stress, and all that other shit. So for me, you know, it's been a roller coaster, but once I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I need to take a step back, because when I go in, I go in, and that's how I am. I never knew any other way. When you're talking music, I'm in the studio all the time. I'm writing all the time. I'm like constantly working.
9,000%.
You know, so once I learned, you know, take a step back, gather yourself, and have yourself catch up with the music end of it. And once I was able to do that, and now I can understand it and see it, it allows me to enjoy the process that much more. And not only that, it allows me to be able to utilize everything I've learned in the process, you know. So that's what 12 years has been like, man.
And you know, you got to. I mean, if you don't learn from, you know, the good and the bad, then you're not going to develop as an artist. And it's good to hear that, you know, you're right, because sometimes life catches you off guard and the music, you know, goes off to the side, and vice versa. I mean, you kind of put your life to the wayside. I know entirely about that. I gave so many years and I had to take a break because my life was just down here. I had to get back up to an equal point again. So
it's you know, and what you said about the good and the bad, you know, you have to know the good and the bad to get to a medium, right? So you got it. That's the only way you're gonna be able to gauge it, to know what route you're supposed to go and how you're supposed to go about that route. And again, it takes time figuring out. Some people, you know, they end up, of course, you know, going off into possibly doing drugs and kind of just spearheading over that process. But I feel like the earlier you learn that process, as you start to attain success, it allows you to be able to deal with the pitfalls of it that much more better, because you know yourself, you know. So
absolutely, and especially with anything like with musically, if you're being honest about it, you're putting yourself in there. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that's just faking shit, you know, right up experiences that they never had, you know, and that's all, you know, good and fine. But personally, I try to connect to artists where you can actually sense the honesty, lyricism behind it, or even in the music itself. If it's an instrumental, you can tell when people are truly emoting and it's resonating up and being real about it.
It's you know, music is a very, I don't want to get too deep, because, you know what I'm saying, we ain't gonna do all that shit today. You know what I'm saying? It's too early for that. But I will say this: music in itself, even the most ignorant styles of music, it is, like, I would say, very spiritual in a way. And the reason why I say that is because you have to be in a certain type of mind frame and energy to be able to create, no matter what you're creating. So you have to, you know, the better you can tap into that mind frame, the more comfortable and the more can I say sonically, the music will be able to be processed and be able to be given to the people. You know, you can hear it. So that process, the more, so let's say instrumental, the more that instrumental talks to you, you're gonna be able to tell like, oh shit, yeah, he's there with it, man. He's like one with the instrumental. So me as being a creator, and I'm a music head. I don't care what beat you give me, I can create on anything, and it comes natural, you know. So you'll never hear like, oh shit, he's trying too hard. For me, it comes natural because I'm a music head. I like music across the board. As long as it's good music, and I'm hearing the best of the best do it, I love it.
So,
You know,
so speaking of what you think is some of the best, what inspires you? What artists are just like driving you? You're like, oh fuck, they got it.
This is my third interview this week, by the way. My third interview this week, by the way, and I was asked that question both times, and I'm gonna stun some people, but I always say, you always want to get the explanation of the reason of why. I say like constructive criticism and everything. What's the reason why? So there was one artist that inspired me to pretty much say like, you can do it, because if he can do it, you can definitely do it, and that was Soulja Boy.
Yep.
And the reason why, right? I saw Soulja Boy, this young kid in his room, and he was making his own beats with these big ass nightgown grandmother t-shirts on, you know, doing these dances in the room. And one thing that I was able to see from him was that he was doing it every day. He was consistent, and I could see it was gaining traction. But not only that, it was very catchy with what he was doing musically. And I was like, man, and this is back when Step Your Game Up from Atlanta, they had their own website. And Step Your Game Up was like the Facebook of music. And so that's where all the rap, hip hop artists from Atlanta, Georgia, and the southern areas used to go to. And that's where I actually heard of him first. Then I found him on SoundClick, and then he ended up blowing up, right? So on a music aspect, as far as making it goes, it was Soulja Boy. On the back end of it, the rapping wise, was two groups. The first group, and this is beyond the Biggie Smalls and the Pacs and the Jay-Z's. The two groups that inspired me rapping wise was Outkast, Big Boy and Andre 3000, and Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Ooh, yeah.
Those two.
And first, two great like individuals to spark. I mean, Big Boy, unbelievable. Andre 3000, unbelievable. Outkast,
crazy.
The way that they kind of just did their own thing, truly unique to themselves, and then Bone Thugs with all the heart for all of us 90s. All of us in our 30s right now. That's what just that was to me, and always will. Bone Thugs will always hold a very special place in my heart. They always on the best days and on the worst days. There's just so much soul, and I'm glad to see there's a resurgence in that coming back in hip-hop, of bringing in the soul.
You noticed that, right?
That's huge. Like, I love the multi-genre, and a lot of risks were taken in comedy. That's what created a lot of pioneers.
Yep, true.
True.
And you're right about that, man. Everything always comes back around, and I do see that kind of style and that feel starting to bring its way back around again, man. It's a beautiful thing, and I don't think we're never ever gonna go fully left away from what started rap and hip hop, or rap music, which was the essence of hip hop, in the boroughs of New York. Like, that's where it started. That's where all this music manifested from. Even to your legends of like Lil Wayne's and all, that's where it manifested. So it's always gonna revert back to that. Regardless of how you chop it up or cut it or whatever you do.
Oh, you're absolutely right, and like getting those connections, and we've seen different resurgences of it over the years. We've seen the relationship between DJ and MC getting tighter and stuff like that. But now we're starting to see like the full band hip hop come back, You know,
Yep.
that to me, I always loved. I mean, I got my DJ gear right here, and I absolutely love it. But there's something about a live band with a full front of, and it's a different sound. It's a different sound, and that's even coming as as a DJ. Like, and I don't get me wrong, like live shows are phenomenal, but there's something magical about live hip hop with a full band.
I'm gonna say something, man. Just to piggyback off what you're talking about right now. That's one thing that I once I was able to hear a live band play like live and hear the percussions and have it being able to feel that resonate through your body, like you can actually feel that. It brings a whole nother element to the feeling aspect. So. Even for myself, I know as an artist, I know at some point when I can financially do it, because I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be at that level. I want to be able to have a live band to be able to go ahead and play my music behind me as well too, because I feel like that element in itself, it just takes that whole musical experience to a whole nother level.
Well, absolutely, and if you can incorporate the two worlds by having a full band, by having some people fronting, and then also have a DJ, so you can take that live, you can loop different sections, do different things, and incorporate both worlds. I think honestly, that's where we're kind of heading. We're going to see a convergence of the old and the new, and then a synergy of just something completely brand new that we haven't seen before, and that's exciting to me.
Yep. I mean, you're already seeing it for the artists out there that can actually afford it. Even those artists like Roddy Ricch, you see a lot of them now. They starting to have like live bands play with them. You know what I'm saying? Because again, when you're performing, the best performances come from artists that are able to give their audience an experience, opposed to just sitting there just yelling up in their face for like a whole hour. You know what I'm saying? They want to be able to feel like they're a part of like an experience. So you talking to them, find out where people are from. What were y'all doing today? You know what I'm saying? Like, all these little things makes for an experience. It makes that audience feel like they're involved. And again, on a sonic level, sound wise, having a live band play your music, it just takes that to a whole nother level. Because beyond a speaker, now they're actually seeing it and feeling it. It's unimaginable. It's awesome. I love it.
And you're absolutely right, because I think when you're the right artist, when they're doing all those things and they're resonating right, you kind of almost forget there's a stage even, and then you feel like you're a part of the show, and then that creates an experience which the crowd will never forget.
They won't forget, man. I know all the best shows that I've seen. I've never forgot. I never forgot. Lauryn Hill. I never forgot her performance. It was phenomenal. I never forgot Snoop Dogg's performance. He has the live band out there, phenomenal. I never forgot Mac Miller. Rest in peace, Mac Miller's performance. I don't know if he had a live band, but his experience that he gives his audience, phenomenal. Wiz Khalifa, he's another one, phenomenal. Who else? DMX. Jeez, you want to talk about touching souls? Dude, DMX is phenomenal. Still to this day.
The last time he came to Maine, he was at the Portland Mall, and he ended up buying like this family, like this dad, like all their kids, like all their shoes for the year. Like it was like 5 kids, and he like hooked them up. He was just there. Like,
get out of here.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I had read that. I was like, fuck, man. Like that's awesome, DMX. Just because it happened to be before school was starting. Single out there trying to buy stuff for his kids, and freaking DMX was like, "Nope, I got that. Go grab whatever you want."
You know what? Too. Actually, I remember that. It was when he came down for that show. That was the show I was talking about. I think too. He ended up buying that family school shoes, stuff like that. DMX, you know what? And the thing is, DMX, man, he's an awesome person, bro. It's just everybody has their upbringing, man, and he had to grow up at a very young age, and not only just grow up at a young age, but grow up at a young age in an environment in which he lived in that is the jungle, it's that urban jungle, and you have to almost be lucky just to make it out. In a lot of cases, I lived in a very bad hood in Bridgeport, Connecticut, so I can I can definitely be testament to that as far as that goes. So I definitely know he's a very good person. He just been through some fucked up shit, and that psychologically that has a part to play on his mental instability sometimes.
Everybody goes on a different journey, and their perspective on it is going to be different. But it's good to see. It warms my heart when I see random acts of kindness from anybody, and that stood out in my head. Like that was like 3 years ago, and it's still like right there on the top of my next. Like, dude, he was here in Maine, and he was freaking hooking a family up with school supplies and stuff. Like that's the type of stuff when you give back to the actual community. That's like,
it's a beautiful thing.
Chicago with his backpack program, giving kids all their school supplies. Like, I think year one, 20,000, then year two was 40,000. This last year, 2015, was like 100,000 backpacks, all filled with school supplies.
It's huge. It's huge. And you know what? I feel like at the end of the day, like even for myself, and I'm pretty sure for a lot of other artists that are in tune with, the areas and what's going on in the world, like, I feel like we all have to do our part in whichever way possible. The ones that are supporting you, not all of them are well off, but they're still supporting you anyways. Sometimes, giving some, they're limited money, so to say, to support you as an artist. So it's only right that you give back anytime you can give back. And I feel like at the end of the day, we're put in this world to help each other anyways. Like I feel like us, that's why when someone gives, there's a satisfaction, and giving doesn't always have to be you giving money, or you get, it could be just a couple of words or making someone laugh. Those little things, it sounds corny as hell, but those little things make a difference.
And that's the thing you realize as we get older. It's not like life isn't like the movies where it's some big grand event. It's the little small moments in between that really define you and your character. So no, it doesn't sound corny at all, because honestly, like a kind word, a hug, a dab, an extra smoke, a couple extra bucks, or buying a track, or coming up to a show, it's all support. It's all showing love. And if you can put that positivity in the world, and I say it up to everybody, maybe we make the world a better place just one person at a time.
Yep, you're right. I totally agree.
Oh,
you want to say what's up real quick,
so 2 interviews today have been both interrupted by dogs, and I could not be more upset by that. What's your dog's name?
All right, so her name is Katana. She's about to turn 4 months old on the 30th, and she's a diva. She's a diva, man. It's crazy how demanding she is. What she wants is what she wants. If she wants to sleep on my shoulder, even though my shoulder hurts like hell, she will bug me for like a whole 2 hours just to sleep on my shoulder. And it's like, come on. But you can't do nothing.
You can't say no to that face.
That face right there, you can't do nothing but give in to that. So
no, I give it that all day. All day, man. Oh man, she looks like the best girl too. Oh man.
Dude, you know what? Right now she's getting her frog and her sea legs under her, so she likes to, now that she can stretch her body out and grab things, she's just grabbing shit just to grab it.
Just to grab it.
Let me go grab it and bring it somewhere. I'm like,
funny, man.
Crazy.
Funny. So obviously, that's been one thing that you've been up to during all this lockdown shit. So you got a new dog, which is awesome.
Yep.
That's great for the soul. Good to keep morale up. Obviously, it sounds like it is. What else you been busy during all this shit right now?
Man, you know what? I'll be honest, man. I'm gonna start off by saying this, and I'll summarize it. I've taken the whole COVID. The COVID situation is a horrible thing. It's caused a lot of families to be grieving over lost ones. I mean, we've lost a lot of people, and in the process, I always say, even in the times of darkness, you gotta find the blessings in these times of darkness. And for me, I was able to recalibrate on how I wanted to move forward with my career, musically, entertainment-wise, and everything else. And unfortunately, it took something like this happening for that to happen. And so my time, honestly, when it first happened, I probably had the COVID. Number one, I had a breathing issue. I'm freaking coughing up cats and dogs. It was all fucked up. And I had to force myself to go to an emergency 5 days later. It was just like a buildup of not being able to breathe. And so I think I already had it off the bat, that was horrible. And then after that, I told myself I wanted to teach myself more about videography, lighting, video editing, writing treatments for music videos or scripts, whatever have you. So I pretty much threw myself the first 2 months of the COVID, or first month and a half. I was on YouTube, literally sleeping on my keyboard, just learning everything about lenses, cameras, apertures, manual settings, you name it, bro. I was on it. I had them all saved in my playlist. I would rewatch them, and YC Imaging was like my go-to guy, and then along with a bunch of others, Creative Ryan and all them boys. So I engulfed myself in this process of trying to be able to learn the videography process and how to evoke emotion and video and lighting and all this stuff. That was the first portion of my COVID experience. And then the second half of it was releasing my second album of the year, the second of 5 albums I'm going to be releasing this year, which is 2020 Tunnel Vision. I'm releasing 5 albums this year.
Holy shit.
Yes. I got one already out. It's called 2020 Tunnel Vision. We actually just dropped an animated single to my first official single off of the first album, which dropped in January, and it's called Talking About. You can find it on Loc Dab TV on YouTube.
We're going to check it out here on the show tonight, too.
Yeah, say it again?
Oh, we're going to check it out here on the show tonight, too.
Oh, so turn up, man.
Well, you think you're not going to come hang out? I'm not going to drop your latest single? Of course I'm going to play the latest single for all my mixtapers to check out, man.
Hey, I really do appreciate that, man. And, you know, it's crazy. It's just crazy because, you know, I try to tell people there is a system, I feel, to being able to do music. And just to staying in the realm of what you asked me is one thing that I didn't have going for myself was to be able to visually give people what they needed on a visual aspect to really bring the music to life, so to say. And so now that I'm able to do that, the way I want to do it, let's say, for instance, I just dropped Talking About, the music video. Well, Talking About was released on the album in January. People are just hearing it now because it has a music video, and now they're like, oh shit, this is fucking awesome. I'm like, dude, I'm already on album number 2. This is, you know, it's like, so people are just kind of getting it now, but it's because it didn't have anything visual-wise to be able to bring it to life.
That's a huge part. You're right. Because one thing, when you give somebody a track, and I'm like, all right, you know, I'll listen to it. But when you send somebody a music video, there's something a little bit more about it. And you're like, oh shit. And not to denounce, you know, bands that don't have videos and stuff like that, because it took a lot of work. It took you 2 months just to do a crash course on it, you know. And there's a lot of things, and it's even for me. You know, I went to school for film and stuff, and even doing this, there's so much that I had to learn and just reteach myself, and just get acquainted with. And it never ends, honestly, and it never will. You're definitely right, because the music video is what got my attention in the first place. That's how I first heard about you, was through Instagram, and I saw the video.
That is awesome. Do you see what I'm saying, though? So those, you know, that's the reason why I did what I did. And again, I figured all this stuff out through just having conversations with different people. You know, I've had conversations with DJ Unk. I've had conversations with one of Nas's artists named Quan. He had a Billboard hit with Nas. I had a conversation with him for like, you know, hours. You know, I talked to Spark Dog, who signed with Scarface back in the days. And I just got so much information. And then one of the big ones was talking to somebody who knew Spose. And
Yeah.
and they kind of gave me some little tidbits from Expose, and then it all just started to make sense, and I'm like, oh, this is what I need to do. And now that I'm able to do it, it's really gonna skyrocket, and it's really, and and I'm gonna tell you right now, I've had so many people. I'm talking about industry people, from Universal, so forth, telling me that the only thing I'm missing is the marketing and the branding aspect. So this is what I've been doing with the whole COVID process, is getting the albums prepared, getting these music videos and visuals done. I'm actually shooting a music video today.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's been a process, but it's been keeping me busy. I always have something to do. There's never not a point in time where I don't have anything to do. I can fill up 20 years worth of shit I just need to get done. So that's how I've been staying busy pretty much.
That's awesome. And I'm not too far away. If you ever want to collab on a video, I got cameras and lights, and would love to talk shop. And this is what it's all about: just networking with each other, helping each other, bringing each other up. I honestly say, like, when I started the show, I didn't know how predominant of a hip hop community Maine even had, and it's right here in my back door. I mean, I'm in the electronic community and the punk and the metal, and I've loved hip hop and rap my entire life. But it's like when you're not fully engaged in that community, you're not seeing all these amazing artists. I started doing a lot of research, and I'm like, holy shit, look how many fucking amazing artists that I'm surrounded at just right here in Maine. Nevertheless, across the country, and that's I think that's exciting. Because we're putting Maine, back on the map. We're making a name for it, because Maine has always had an unbelievable music scene. Great to see artists like yourself get out there and start making a bigger name for themselves, because it's totally well deserved. You're doing it all the right way, with all the right heart, and you're put so much into it. And to me, I mean, that just shows a true passion for the craft and doing it for all the right reasons, and that's the type of thing where I see that type of ambition and dedication in an artist, regardless of the genre. I'm going to keep following, because I want to know what happens next.
You know what, man? I'm going to say this, man. I appreciate the words. I'm humbled. That's one thing with me, man. People like, people who don't know me that just started following me, they'll say, hey, stay humble. I'm like, dude, you're not talking to like a new artist that just came into the game that doesn't know any better. Like, I don't care how much the millions I make, I'm gonna always be the same person that's humble, funny, big, goofy motherfucker, and that will never change. But it's, I don't think people know the behind the scenes of what an artist has to go through, man. It's so much hours, it's so much dedication. It's so much mental anguish. It's so much anxiety. I mean, you're having to pull from so many different parts of experiences. So in the mind of an artist, man, a creator, oh my gosh, it's crazy. And so that's why, any kind of appreciation is very, very, very well welcomed. Yes, very well welcome,
right, because you're talking about like the mental anguish. Like, there'll be days I'll go and listen to one of my tracks. I'm like, this is the best thing I ever did. I mean, I'll listen to it, and the next day I'm like, this is fucking hot garbage. This is hot garbage. So you're right. And it's a fluctuation, and it's when you're doing it all yourself, and then you're putting it in there, and then you're like, all right, I just did this video. Let's put it out there. Let's see what people think, and take the risk. But I say it every time, there's no reward without risk in this world whatsoever. Sometimes you just have to jump.
You gotta, man. If there's one thing I'll tell anybody, man, I'm gonna give it to you like this. And these are what I consider gems, right? And she's awesome.
I love it.
So the gems is don't get caught up in what I call the mountain syndrome, right? And the mountain syndrome, this is something I made up myself. The mountain syndrome is you're at the bottom of a mountain and you are making up every single excuse on why you don't want to start scaling that mountain. So you're looking up at this mountain, you're going, well, I know there's snakes over there, but if I go over here, there's a billy goat that's going to push me off. And then probably if I go over here, there's this. And the whole time that you're thinking about all these different things, years go by and you're still at the bottom talking about these things, and it's at some point you got to say, you know what, I need to just start scaling, and I will deal with those issues as they come, because you can't speak on nothing if you're sitting there watching it, watching it from the outside and building up all these different anxieties. You really just got to jump right in. I don't care if it's the worst of your worst. Jump right in, feel the waters out, see where you stand, and then figure it out. And that's the way you do it. There's no going around it. But once you're able to do that and be comfortable within your skin doing that, that's where everything almost becomes kind of, I want to even say easy, because it's tough to make it in the music game. Oh, yeah. Consistency being the biggest thing. That's the toughest thing I feel like with doing anything is consistency, because anything that you're going to be doing on an independent thing with music or entertainment, influencer, anything, consistency is where it's at beyond having to jump. So you can jump, cool. Step one. Step two, consistency. Are you going to be able to do this all the time consistently without someone saying you need to do this? And that's where you start having to build. You have to build your own habits. You have to be your own boss. And so again, and that could be tough. That could be tough.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
And you're right, because you have to be your own boss, and like it doesn't have to be a job, you know. You don't have to see it that way, because jobs are confining. They make you feel this big, you know. But you need to make it. You're the boss of your life, you know. So you make decisions. You can't sit there and be worried about every single snake in the grass and wonder if they're gonna bite at you as you're trying to step up. And you just eventually have to keep moving forward. You know, you got to keep like the bit. You got to stay hungry. You got to keep swimming. You know.
Yeah. Make sure you have all the for whatever resources that you have. Whatever that stick may be as you're climbing this mountain and trying to watch out for the snakes. Just make sure you have your tools in place to be able to, be able to see some of that stuff before it happens. But you're only gonna learn with you actually making those first steps and learning. And one thing I can honestly tell you, people are like, man, why haven't you made it yet? Man, you got everything going for you, dude. And I tell them, I took the long way around. There's a lot of different things on a financial aspect and all this stuff that I could have done that could have just spear-rocketed me. But I was like, you know what? I want to do this the right way. I want to do it to where at the end of the night I can sleep and feel good about myself. So that being said, that's why I took the long way around. And honestly, I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm 37 years old, right? People don't even know that. I'm 37 years old, but I look like I'm like 20. But upon me having the maturity, I also have that young person's soul. So that's why my music, if you hear my music, even though I talk about real stuff too, demographic wise, from young to old can relate to it. So.
And that's the thing. You're taking your experience, and you've always had a youthful look on the world. I can absolutely relate. I'm just a couple of years young. I'm only 35, and honestly, you got to keep that youthful spirit. You got to keep that imagination alive, that childhood spark of what inspired us in the first place to start doing our craft. When we first started getting going. And that's something that the world will try to stamp out that spark every single way that it can. And then, man, trust me, there's been plenty of times
but that's the battle. That's the part of the process that you have to enjoy. I learned to, I always tell people, another thing I say, and I think I've heard it be said before. The only time you lose is when you don't learn the lesson. That's the only time you lose. So if you come up on a quote unquote L and you learn from that L, then you win. You don't lose. You're gaining. It's the moment you don't learn from that loss is when you actually lose. So, it's always for me, life and its learning experiences in the process, it's always a win. It's always a win-win. Dude, she is ridiculous, bro. She's just like...
Wouldn't have it any other way, man. Look at all that love, dude. Look at all that love. But you're right, because those losses give you character. And honestly, it's not the big things in life. It's all the little small things. So you gotta take you know, you might not have made it at this moment, but what did you learn out of it? You know, like all those cracks, those scars, those wounds, they define who you are. That's what makes you a person. If you sit there at the bottom of the mountain your entire life wondering what if and kicking dirt, you don't have any experience. You don't have any gained perspective because all you've been doing is looking up your entire life.
Dude, if you know what frustrates me the most, because I you know, even for myself, I know, mamas, stop. I know where I faltered is for me was I was so all over the place. I never had a plan. My plan was to get lucky. That was my plan. I need to get lucky. I need to have that lucky song blow up and be a one-hit wonder or whatever have you. I just need to get lucky. And when the thing about it is that not having a plan and blindly grinding, you end up in a state where when you do hit that wall, it's not like you hit a wall and then no, I know where I'm going. It's like you hit that wall and you're like, oh fuck, man, I can't do this shit no more. You know, so that's what I learned. You know, back then, back then and now, I have a plan. I have a plan on top of a plan, and I have action items to get to those short-term goals to reach and attain that the bigger picture goal. And you know, that's one thing I would tell any artist, man. Make sure you have your one thing to have a dream, but you have to have short-term goals, plans, and then action items in a strategic way to attain those short-term goals to get to the bigger goal.
Absolutely, you know? You got to be realistic about those steps in between. You know, and you got to be honest with yourself when you can't actually accomplish that. And like, all right, we got to move this over to phase 4 because right here we're only on phase 3, and this is what we need to be focusing on right now. I think I might have bit off a little bit more, but I can chew. And honestly, having a good plan, a sense of hubris, you know, just like understand, like you got to keep to this and understand when you can't actually do it. And be realistic with yourself. You know, like those end of the day laying in bed by yourself, like. Don't disillude what isn't actually tangible. You know, those realistic steps in order to get there, and you'll find that you accomplish much more when. Not to say you don't need to lower the bar because you know where you want to go. You want to go all the way to the end. You're just gonna take small, realistic steps in order to get there.
To get there, because the thing is, artists. You know, I've had artists contact me like, "Hey, you know, I did this and nothing happened." I'm like, "So I'm done." I'm like, dude, no, you were never in it to win it from the beginning, because if you're an artist, if you're a real true artist and you really know that you have the talent, you have the personality to make it happen, and of course the plan to do it as well, you're not going to stop. You know, you're gonna make it happen. I don't want to hear no excuses. Like, you know, it's like don't give me no excuses. I know. Even when I didn't have it, I still did things to make things happen. You know, so you know, and that's what it's about. You got to stay in the game, and always be ready, because there will come a point in time where the things that you weren't able to control, you will be able to control. And at that point in time, if you weren't doing the staying in the game from before, you are going to be fucked when that opportunity comes around, because you're not going to be ready. And so I've always stayed in the game. I've never left the game. Even when I had took my little break on a mental aspect, I was still making like a song or two a week. I never ever stopped, because I knew what the end goal was.
And you're absolutely right, because if you're sitting there and just thinking like, oh, I'm gonna get lucky and I'm not gonna have a plan, and then when a good opportunity actually comes in and they see that you're disorganized, you've got nothing to present to the table, you don't have like a what's next for, you know, not everyone needs a 3-year plan, but if you really want to be viable, you should honestly know how you want to, you know, where at least a rough idea where you want to be in 3 years. I mean, a 1-year plan is solid, but you can't always account for shit that's going to change over the next 3 years. But you should be able to, if a representative comes to you and be like, yo, Punky, where the fuck do you see yourself in 3 years? Be like, I see roughly X, Y, and Z, and I want to get there by doing A, B, C, D, and E over the next 6 months. And then we're going to come with that. You know, you got to have a rough idea. You know, you got to know where you're aiming towards, at least roughly, if you want to stay relevant as an artist. I've seen it happen to too many good artists out there, and they put out this amazing body of work, but they didn't do the social media. They didn't get it out there. They didn't do the advertising. They didn't do the FaceTime to get themselves out there. I mean, it just sat there. It's happened to me.
Listen, it's funny that you say that, because that of what you're speaking about, it's more. That's what that tells you. It's more than the music. It's really more than the music, man. You really, like right now, I got a single out right now, right? And I got a video out right now, and I'm going through the channels and the different steps of marketing and promoting it on a very large scale. I'm going through the figuring out the different ways of and times to post things and who to work with. Like it's a whole process. I'm gonna start going live on IG and FB to talk up the single more. So it's you have to really be dedicated. Once you have something that you're pushing, you got to push it on all different channels, and you have to strategically be able to do that. I'm gonna say something real quick. Sorry to interject. I just want to say one thing. People think you need like $50,000 to blow up, right? People think you need $25,000 to blow up, right? I'm gonna tell you like this. And this is just me knowing the game and doing my research. You give me a $1,200 marketing budget, and I can put a single or an album through the roof, because I know what channels to go through, major channels to go through, and what their actual cost is to make it a cost-effective campaign to be able to do it the right way. Now, I'll be honest. Do I have that budget to be able to do that myself? No. But do I know my way of being able to pick and choose what is going to give the best kickback for an investment, when it comes to that? Yes. So knowing those things, I know what I would need to do and who I need to work with what I have. And so people think you need like $50,000 and $1 million to be like a big time artist. Yeah, it does get you somewhere when you have money, but you have to also figure out what to do with what you got. And like I said, $1,200, $1,000, that would go a long way.
Oh yeah.
For me, pushing a single or an album or whatever have you. You just don't have to know where to put your money.
And you're right, because a lot of, especially in the hip hop community, when it comes to that, a lot of people think that you need to get a big name on a collab on your mixtape in order to get your name out there. So you're going to drop $25,000 just to have somebody come and spit 2 bars. It's not the case at all. We're really just knowing yourself and being willing to invest a little bit into yourself. And it takes a long time. It might take 2, 3, 4 years in order to get to that point for you to save up to it. But don't give up on that journey, because it's gonna pay off if you just do it the right way. Make an investment into yourself, and that's something that you do see, in a lot of young hip hop artists, and is they pay for the collab, and it bankrupts them as an artist, and then they won't get the turnaround that they want from dropping that single, because it's just making the person they collabed with just a little bit bigger than the person that dropped it in the first place.
And to piggyback on what you're saying right now, even doing a collab with the major artist, it really doesn't even do anything. And the reason why, the only time something like that will benefit an artist is, of course, if the record's really, really good, it can benefit them in a certain way. But the only way it's going to benefit an artist in the best way possible to be pushed is if that artist you're doing a collab with decides, or his label decides, or whatever have you, that they decide to push it, or they decide to promote it on their channels. That's when it's actually lucrative. But a lot of artists and a lot of labels are not going to be okaying things like that. You know what I'm saying? But if you're able to get a collab from an artist, and you're able to shoot a music video with them, that would be hugely beneficial for you.
Yeah, and that's different, because you're adding a visual representation, and then you have both people being equal participants in the advertising and the exporting of the actual product. So it kind of brings me to like one of my last questions here, but I like to ask everybody is if no push from any label or anything like that. If you were given a choice to actually do a full artist collaboration, just complete melting of the minds together, who would you want to pull in to work with on something in the future?
Yo, it's so funny because each one of these interviews I did this week, they all had that question in there too. And I'm gonna be honest, and this is funny. This is even including all of the legends that I actually like. The first artist that comes to mind, and I can't refrain from her going the other direction, I would have to want to work with Wiz Khalifa, man. Wiz Khalifa, and the reason of why, Wiz Khalifa had me sold from Flight School. I don't know if you remember the Flight School mixtape, man. He had from front to back. I had my first car, which was my 1995 Thunderbird, light in the ass, 2-door.
No.
Freaking the consummate America Ford vehicle, and I used to, with my shitty speakers and all, I used to bang that Flight School, man, and watching Wiz Khalifa's behind the scenes and all that stuff. Every time I saw him and saw how he was acting and how he was, how he does what he does, I saw myself. I was like, yo, that's me. Yo, that is me. Now, the only thing I'll say that's a little bit different, Wiz smokes way more than me. Wiz smokes, listen, man, Wiz smokes more than everyone in America's history by himself. He smokes. Like, I've seen that man smoke. Yeah, listen, man, that man smokes. So that's the only thing that we didn't that wasn't similar. I smoke, but he smokes way more than I do. But Flight School sold me, man. That was it, man. One of my favorite songs of Flight School was "I'm Good, Living Just the Way I Should." Most niggas, that shit right there, man. That comes on, it's over, man. You hear them synths, but yeah,
it becomes your anthem, and it just becomes such a big part of your life and it's such a driving force.
Woo! Telling you.
That would be killer, and that's the thing. I like to ask every artist that because there's nothing wrong with putting your dreams out into the world, especially as an artist. Yeah. Maybe one day he's randomly just going through YouTube videos and he happens to stumble upon this and then he happens to see the links there. Who knows? Maybe magic can happen. Maybe it doesn't. But you know what? It's in the universe now, and it's really up to fate to decide. Man. That would be awesome. And if I had to work with a DJ, I would want to work with DJ Khaled. DJ Khaled?
DJ Khaled, and I'll tell you really quickly why. So, DJ Khaled, this is his book right here, The Keys, right? And this book right here, I recommend this book to any artist. Any artist out there, this is a great book for any artist, man. Like this is like a very motivational book, and it gives you some real behind the scenes, on ground zero type shit of what to watch out for and how to actually move and maneuver and so forth. But the thing with DJ Khaled, man, that where there's a connection between me and DJ Khaled is on Twitter. I remember back in, I think I'm gonna say like 2012, 13ish, around that time frame. I think 14 probably could have been. I was doing freestyles, a lot of freestyles, man. I would find industry beats and I'll do freestyles. And I had a mixtape series called Destroying the Industry. And I remember I came across a DJ Khaled, record that he actually had, and I did a freestyle to it. And I remember one day after I did the freestyle, of course I put his name and everything like that. And one day I go on Twitter, and I get this email, and it says followed by DJ Khaled, right, on my Twitter. I'm like, so I go, man, this got to be like one of those fake DJ Khaled accounts. This ain't really DJ Khaled. Like, come on. So I go on my Twitter, and when I typed in the name, when I clicked it, I saw a blue check, and I said no. And then I scrolled and I looked, and it was the official DJ Khaled, and he still follows me to this day off of that freestyle I did to that record. So I know I'm on his radar somehow. you know, for him to do that, I know I'm his radar somehow. So I know eventually I will definitely be working with DJ Khaled at some point very soon in the near future, for sure.
That's awesome. So you definitely staying busy. You're about to go shoot a music video here in a couple minutes.
Yes,
You
sir. Yes,
definitely
sir.
got 3 more albums coming up. Usually I say, hey, what's next? But holy shit, you got, you know, you're about to release the second one. You're about to shoot another music video. You got 3 more albums coming out later this year. You might be one of the most driven interviews I've had yet on the show. 5 fucking albums in a year.
Yeah, man, we're
That's
doing
like
it.
fucking unprecedented, dude. That's
You know,
unbelievable drive.
and I appreciate that. You know what it was though. I'm gonna be honest, man. Listen, I love to make music. I'm gonna be like E40, bro. Like I'm gonna be like freaking like damn near, you know, 45 years old with like 30 albums in the bucket. Like, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just love to create music, and I told myself last year, I was like, man, I'm like, I got so much music. I was like, what do I do? Like, do I just release like a single here, single here? Bentley Records just signed me last year to a distribution marketing deal, and so I'm like, man, what should I do? And I was like, you know what, dude? I was like, yo, do 4 albums. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do 4 albums. And then I was like, you know what? How about we do 5? We do the one around Christmas that's a double album. So
Nice.
that spearheaded everything. Shout out Tone, who actually gave me the idea to name it 2020 Vision for starters, because that's what I'm running with the whole year. So we got 2020 Vision album is out now on all streaming platforms. 2020 Tunnel Vision is out right now. They just dropped on all streaming platforms like a few days ago. And then we have 2020 3D, which is dropping in September. And then we're gonna have the double album dropping around December.
Dude, that's killer. I'm stoked. We're gonna check out the new video. We're gonna check out some of the tracks from each one of those releases here tonight for everyone to check out.
Awesome.
Man,
Awesome.
any final words before we part ways, man?
Hey, first I'm gonna say shout out to Punky Bruiser and the family, man, for allowing me to come on here and talk my shit and be the iron shit motherfucker that I've been my whole life. You know, I appreciate y'all, man, and you can find my website at locdabttf.com. All right, all my pages are on there. At Loc Dab is my IG. At Loc Dab on Twitter as well. Those are my main pages that I'm actually on. And Loc Dab TV on YouTube. That's Loc Dab TV, LOCDAB TV on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and comment my new video or talk about my new single. And I'm just appreciative, dude. Like I said, this is my 3rd interview this week. And I just thank y'all for even thinking about me.
Oh man, I thank you for coming to hang out with me, man. This is awesome. You know, I get to hang out with musicians from all around the world, making brand new friends. You know, just hearing about people's story and their journey. I mean, that's what builds a community. It's just being able to take time and just get to learn a little bit more about somebody that you haven't met before. And honestly, I think that's one of the most beautiful parts of life. So I thank you for giving me your time, because to me, that's one of the most valuable things you can give to anybody in the world. I know you're busy.
And vice versa, man. Vice versa. I'm gonna be. I think I already follow you on IG, but we'll definitely network on an actual music video. We could definitely do that, because right now, you know, I'm in that mode of wanting to really push the bounds on a music video visual aspect. I don't want to do your typical music videos that you see these days. So I'll be more than willing to work with you on a music video.
Yeah,
man. I think that'd be awesome.
That'd be killer, because I'm starting to get some things organized for a lot of artists around Maine that need some visual representation. You know, some artists that I featured on the show, and they're amazing artists, and I want to just be able to pick anybody up, amplify all these amazing voices of progress and equality to open-mindedness. That's what we need right now, when you're going to do it all together.
Dude.
You know, it's the only way we're going to be able to get through everything that's happening in the world right now, is that we do it together as a family.
We'll all do it together.
Out of love, not, you know, I got plenty of things in the world that I hate, but, You don't change the world by hating it. You change the world by teaching and educating and loving it. And
I
that's,
love it. Exactly.
that's the thing that I've
Exactly.
learned and recognize more as I get a little bit older each day. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about that connection. And to me,
And
that's the
you know
greatest
what,
gift that anyone can give me.
and you know what, sorry to interject as well. And you know what, at the end of the day, it's really about, like these interactions right here and conversations and being, just like you said, being able to work and network together. You know, that's us doing our part. And that's all we can do, because there's powers that be that makes the call, which we have almost no say so, even though, what I'm saying, but we can do our part in so many different ways. And I feel like if we continue to again, network, build together, and show through action, that's what changes the tide, so to say. So I'm just happy that we can be a part of that. So
it's an interesting time that we're all in, but like I said, with the right headspace and the right heart and the right love, and I think it's going to persevere into something more beautiful. But it's unfortunate that the dawn is what is it, the expression that the midnight is always darkest just before the dawn.
yes, it's gonna get worse before it gets better, but because I'll keep it very loosely as possible, is because you got to understand, man, for someone to change, I'm talking about just anybody from bad to good, let's say, no one, a lot of people don't like constructive criticism. A lot of people can't take constructive criticism, right? It takes a lot of swallowing your pride to take constructive criticism. Being an artist, if I had to parallel it to that, the only way you're gonna get to the levels that you need to get to as an artist, you gotta have tough skin and be able to take that constructive criticism to change for the better. And that's just everything in life and everything else. So, we got the moment you close your mind off to growth and living life and understanding and appreciating people, moments, times, and so forth, that's when you lose the whole totality of what it is to live. So we gotta make sure, just as a people, we just keep an open mind to everything, because that's what makes life grand. What makes life grand is that we all learn from each other. Oh shit, when you get a bunch of artists in a room, that is one of the most funnest things in the world. For me, I'm like fascinated, because I'm like, oh, that's how you do that? Cause I do my shit like this. Yo, that's crazy. All right, dope. Like the shit that you learn and seeing artists in their kind of mode. It's a beautiful thing. And in life, it's the same thing. Just to see different cultures and people and how they do. It's just, that's life. That's life. That's the beauty of life. And you have to just keep that open mind when it comes to life. Period.
You're right, because to me that's being rich, a fulfillment of just every bit of culture and life, and just melting it in and just taking it in and just being a sponge and just absorbing the world around you, because there's so much beauty out in the world, and if people were a little bit more adaptive to new situations, they could appreciate just how beautiful all these differences are. And if you can take that into life, and keep that childhood-like wonder and curiosity, then the world's going to be that much better off.
And I'll say this in conclusion. When you said rich in those terms, I thought about Bob Marley flashed in a flash. When you said rich in those terms, Bob Marley's words flashed. Of that interview we had when they said, "Hey, you're rich," and he goes, "Rich how?" They're like, "Money wise, you're rich." He says, "Nah." He says, "That's not that don't make me rich." He says, "Life, and that's what makes me rich." And that, it sounds so like, I would want to say, like, I can't even say cliche, but it's real. It's real. It's so funny. as we get older, all the different sayings and things that we used to hear in the past, all these cliche sayings, it ends up becoming titles to chapters in your life, right?
It
You're
really
like, oh my
does.
gosh, this is actually what I'm living right now. This actual saying. Holy shit. And I think that's cool as shit.
You're absolutely right, you know, and that's, you know, it's something that I picked up from my dad is, you know, he's like, you might not have a lot of money, but it's like, but we're rich. He's like, look at us, you know, we've got love, we've got music, we've got each other. That to me is what makes a person rich at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Is when you're surrounded by the people that you love and they love you back and you have that connection to the world. And if your life is filled with food and music and people and culture and art, then you are truly a rich individual in my eyes.
Man, that's huge, man. That is a conclusion for your ass if you ever needed one.
And dude, I just try to go in with nothing but love and an open mind and an open heart into every situation, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was, we all grow. You know, when I was young, I was angry, going to metal shows, trying to, you know, hurt the world because I was angry at the world. Instead of trying to,
We all go through it.
You know, I spent so much time being angry at the wrong shit, you know, and eventually you learn what's really important at the end of the day. Oh man,
yeah.
this has been unbelievable, dude. This has been awesome. I am so stoked for us to be able to continue this afterwards. We're definitely going to keep talking. But
yes,
to wrap things up, holy shit, man, you just. My heart is full, man. My heart's like 3 times bigger, man. I feel like the Grinch.
man.
Like,
This is you know what this is what it's about. You know, this is where people can actually be like, you know, they can really tap in to people just being real. You know what I'm saying? Not the superficial bullshit motherfuckers want to sell you. Like, you start getting real shit. This is where people, you know, people from young to old can be like, you know what? Holy shit. This is what it's about right here, man. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Spreading that love, good vibes, making positive energy and good vibes, the new drippy swag, because motherfuckers been making negative fucking vibes and negative energy, the drippy swag for far too long. So we changing the fucking narrative, and it's now positive vibes and good energies, the new drippy swag. Go get you some, and all you have to do to go get you some is no self. Make sure you put a smile on your face every fucking day, and give somebody a hug if you can. That's the new drippy swag. Let's go.
Dude, I love it. And that's beautiful words to end out on tonight, man. I cannot thank you enough for coming to hang out with me on the mixtape. We're going to be checking out some of your new tracks. We got 2 albums to pick through. We're going to show some mixtapers, a little bit of Chad Gray, also known as Loc Dab, hanging out from Portland, Maine, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. It really means the world to me. Dude, for me to you.
Appreciate it, brother, man. You trust me right here, brother, man. You trust me right here, man. I thank you, bro, and we will be networking and moving forward in the future to build, man. So let's do it, bro.
Dude,
yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You take care of yourself, and we'll talk soon.
You as well. Enjoy the day, man. Bless up.
Peace.